If you use an AR-15 for home defense, you need to practice with your trigger and your sights. The Mantis Blackbeard allows you to do that much more effectively. It's a drop-in bolt carrier group and magazine that works with your trigger and your sights in your rifle to give you real-time feedback and reset your trigger up to 10 times a second. I use it all the time to be more proficient as a carbine shooter, and I recommend it highly.
Hey guys, Brian Hill with the Complete Combatant. This is Mantis Dry Fire Mondays, and you're on Active Self-Protection Extra. I'm going to talk about resetting the trigger properly today. A lot of people have gotten in the habit of pinning it to the rear and slowly letting it out. There's a time and place for that. It's called deliberate shooting. We're doing high-level precision or long-range shooting with a pistol. We're going to hold that trigger to the rear because we don't want to disturb anything. Problem is, though, when you get into self-defense oriented shooting, you also have to be able to press the trigger quickly. The gun is cycling, therefore you need to cycle the trigger. So we're always in a cycle of prepping, pressing, releasing, prepping, pressing, and releasing until we finish shooting. All right, so let me get my gun out here. Okay, we're empty. Great thing about a VP9 is the trigger will move even after the striker's been fired. So right here I prep, fire, the gun would recycle, so I recycle, So every time I'm getting ready again to shoot the next shot. I don't want to hold, aim, then slowly let it out, then press it back in. What I'm going to do is get ready to do the next shot. The best way to learn about this is in transitions. So whenever we're going from one target to the next, which is crucial for the armed citizen. If we have multiple attackers, we're going to need to be able to give each person a good shot. We're going to need to be able to transition on it. A lot of our training is on a singular target right in front of us. So let's talk about how to transition. One of the greater drills is one to the body, one to the head. I shoot one to the body. As the gun recoils, I simply get the trigger ready. As soon as it crosses below the black line of the head or the trigger, the chin right here, then I prep the shot and fire it again. It's an easy, simple drill to get a lot out of it. Now, you don't really have to do much because the gun's going to rise and recoil anyway. All right, so we have some lift. All we have to do is get ready to fire. But most people miss over the top of the head because they feel like they have to lift the gun. So as you lift the gun and add it to the recoil, you simply shoot over the top of the head. And one of the most aggravating things about that is you went past the very thing that you wanted to shoot to miss. So don't do that. Let's try that. All right. So I'm going to get hot here so you guys can see. This is not really a dry fire drill for it. We're going to fire one to the body and one to the head. One to the body, one to the head. All right. So aim into the body right here. Okay. Everything's aimed in. As soon as the gun recoils, I'm just going to let it shoot the head. All right, stand by. I shot one to the body. It was going up anyway. I reset the trigger, and as soon as it crossed through that black line, I shot one directly to the head. So I'm not having to force myself to change on the transition. I'm not having to push it up. It's a great drill for you guys to practice. Nice and easy. There are two ways to drive the gun in a transition from right to left. Scott Jelinski calls it the float versus the hammer. I've heard it referred to as the bump. Ben Steger talks about it as using a mouse on a computer. That's the amount of energy you need to put into it. What you have to do is kind of make up your mind how it works for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot the one on the left, and I'm just going to let the gun recoil and make an arc over to the right one. Okay. As soon as I come into the line of the outside edge of the body, I begin to prep the trigger. Therefore, I'll shoot to the middle instead of the outside edge. Once again, most people go past the target to miss on this one. So all we're letting it do is it's going to recoil and we're going to move our body over with it. And the movement comes in our legs less than in our arms. Okay. All right, let's see what that looks like. We have deliberate where we hold the trigger. We have reactive where we recognize the stimulus. What I did there was predictive by nature. I knew I was moving next to the next target, so I got the trigger ready, and I predicted that I'm going to see the sights in the middle of it. As soon as I saw that prediction come true, I pressed it. So a little bit of reaction, a little bit of prediction there. But as you can see, it makes a really good hit on the target. All right, it allows me to move the gun very easily. What most people do is they fire, recoil settles, push the gun over, fire, recoil settles, and comes back. And it costs an inordinate amount of time that we simply don't have for the armed citizen. All right. Same thing in competition. You can lose a lot of time on transitions, not splits, because you just don't move the gun effectively. Remember, that arc is going to be easier because the gun's going up anyway. This is a lot longer pathway than this is. Okay. And then we just come back with it. Now, I'm going to do one to the body, one to the body, one to the head, one to the head. This is called a box drill. I'm not going to do it extraordinarily fast. In fact, I don't even have a timer out here. I'm just going to allow the gun to go where it wants to go, and I'm going to help it get there by guiding it lightly like a mouse on a computer. I'm just bumping it into position. So one to the body, one to the body, one to the head, one to the head. Let's see what that looks like. One of the huge advantages of the red dot is it makes a streak and it makes a line, so it's very easy to predict when you're in the center of that target. It's a lot harder with iron sights, so there's a true advantage, I think, on transitions with red dots if you learn how to look through the window and stay target focused, because as soon as that dot crosses in the target, you get ready to shoot, you reset that trigger, there's no reason to hold it back there. And this will help you a lot. You can do this on one target at about any range in America as long as it has different targets. So I'm using the Rangemaster Q, so it has a body, a head, and then the small aiming circles that Tom Givens calls the parrots. So I simply can move around from those targets and practice bumping and getting the trigger ready to press. If I'm coming from the left and I see that I go way to the right, that means I wasn't ready soon enough. And if I shoot too soon in front of it to the left, I know that I wasn't seeing it entering the target. Guys, this will help you a lot. It's good practice. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of ways to practice in dry practice. Maybe the Cool Fire trainer has enough recoil, but then you don't have the shot hit. There's nothing on it yet that we can simulate the recoil and the trigger reset. So this is a really important part of your practice. So when you go to the range, this is something that I would work on for the armed citizen quite frequently. All right, guys, appreciate it. Active Self-Protection Extra. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment. You guys have been wonderful to me. I really appreciate it. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here as always. Mantis product is just giving you another level of data and observation that you wouldn't have without it. I highly recommend it for that, especially the holster draw analysis. We could take this drill and go from the draw and really work on that and see a big difference with it. All right, and I'm Brian Hill of the Complete Combatant, and as always, measure, refine, and perform.